Well, hello, my fellow sensitive people. It is I, your favorite Whimsy, Dr. Whimsy, here to deliver today's remote view. But before we get started, it would be great if you could like, share, and subscribe as we boldly march towards, I don't know, whatever number. What are we aiming for now? 150K? That would be awesome. Thank you so much. Listen, we got to talk. A couple of years ago, I was doing a remote view and I was trying to put myself in the shoes of Vladimir Putin. And as I tried to get a 360-degree view of Putin's world, the first thing I saw was trade routes and the importance of trade routes. And as I meditated on trade routes, I came to understand that all war usually gets traced to trade routes. The ability to control profits, the means of sale. This is what all war is about. It's all about trade, who has control of what, who gets to keep the profits, who gets to charge. If you're coming into my territory, I want a piece of the action. That's what we think about when we think about the Silk Road, for example. So the best way to understand what's going on in the world right now is to think about it as a series of mutually beneficial trade routes. There is a lot of trade historically that has gone on between Iran, for example, and Turkey and Iran. So Turkey, Iran, and Russia all have a great trade route. This is because they share the Caspian and Black Seas. This brings them into some interesting relationships, trading food, trading gold, trading people, trading arms, right? Weapons sales between Iran and Russia, for example. And then talked about Turkish Stream and how Turkish Stream was a pipeline that was going from Turkey. It was funded as part of a contract between Turkey and Russia to do. It was a gas line. It was a pipeline, right? So, and that would go into and supply gas to parts of Eastern Europe, possibly Germany, possibly certainly the Eastern Bloc countries, etc. So when you put yourself in the shoes of Vladimir Putin, what Putin wanted was he wanted complete and total control. He wanted complete and total control of the trade routes. And we now have a new trade route that's emerging, and that new trade route is the Abraham Accords. And the Abraham Accords is an agreement between all of the Middle Eastern countries that they would trade and that they would abstain from war. And this would create quite a bit of profits for those countries that were aligned and supported this new trade route, bypassing other trade routes. What is that main trade route we think about? It's the control of the Strait of Hormuz and the relationship between Russia, Iran, and to some extent Turkey, and control of the Strait of Hormuz, because we now have a supply chain challenge. We also have tariffs going on. Everything has become a lot more expensive, and Iran wishes to take control of the Strait of Hormuz. We now see the toppling of two governments because of these wars over trade. The first is Putin's reign in Russia is coming to an end, and this is because Putin was threatening trade, trying to take control of trade, and was supporting Iranian aggression, but possibly even was in on or knew about the attacks on October 7th, which took place ironically on his birthday, which is October 7th. But the big story here is that we are probably going to be seeing the isolation of Putin. Either he becomes under house arrest, we had predicted, or someone is likely to do worse. He could, for example, be arrested and tried in The Hague for war crimes, because he's certainly been accused of war crimes. The other thing we talked about had to do with the fall of Iran, that the Iranian government would collapse, and we would probably see the development of a Republican monarchy with pushing for a strong democracy, but with a monarchical head, similar to what we see in Great Britain. And the reason for these changes has to do with that new trade route. It has to do with the Abraham Accords, and when those countries that want to get involved, like Italy and France, would like to be a part of that new trade route. When Europe looks to all of those hundreds and trillions of potential dollars in trade, they think, well, we want to get on the side of the West. What's going to strengthen the West, and what's going to strengthen our position in this new trade route, which is going to herald in peace in the Middle East, the only obstacle, of course, being Iran, and therefore we have to take out Iran. Let's do the empaths prayer. Okay, I want to call on white light protection for myself and this community as we ask permission from Spirit to access the Akashic records. We call on our spirit guides and our good angels to be with us. Please give us the clarity and the wisdom that is needed to empower all of us on our journeys to make the best decisions for ourselves, our families, the planet, the people we love, but also to help those that we may have strife with. And together collectively we say Amen. So the new trade route, the Abraham Accords, involves Israel, United Arab Emirates, Bahrain, Morocco. India wants, and Modi wants to be a part of it. Saudi Arabia has talked about conditions to be part of the Abraham Accords. Qatar is Iran and Qatar are the leading sponsors of state terrorism. So Qatar is a huge funder of Hamas, as is Iran funding of Hamas, as well as Hezbollah, Islamic Brotherhood, which has destabilized the entire area. And so how goes Iran will go Qatar. Qatar, of course, is the leading foreign sponsor for U.S. universities at this time. And that's something we should all be concerned about. Over $6 billion Qatar has invested in secondary education, heavily influencing the curriculum and the beliefs of students on college campuses. So that's something to think about. China and Qatar are the two countries that invest the most in changing hearts and minds here in the U.S., influencing young people. Yeah, China and Qatar. All right. So even though Qatar appears to be strong economically now, I would predict that they will slowly become more and more isolated for their refusal to join the Abraham Accords. And this means that people will be bypassing trade with Qatar and move towards doing trade with those countries that are part of the Abraham Accords. Being stuck in the old ways, an inability to let go of past beliefs that hold you back, religious extremism of any type, religious extremism in Israel, religious extremism in the Islamic world, and religious extremism in the United States will hold back progress and will hold back the rights of women, which ultimately you pay a price for economically when you suppress half your workforce. We have double or old addictive ideas being the suppressor of Six of Swords, progress, going forward, going forward in a positive way. Those people that want to live in a past that is not worth trying to get back to, romanticizing sexism, gender apartheid, etc., slavery, right? The horrible, rotten, awful parts of the past, right? Getting back to a past that was never good for the majority of people, right? So And then you have this desire to boldly go where no one has ever gone before. The great Odyssey, the great Odysseus, who gets on that boat and he doesn't know what tomorrow will bring, but he hopes it will be something better than the past, right? So you have that ship's captain, right, who's going to Mars or he's going to wherever, and he is boldly facing the unknown future. And that is the karma of the Six of Swords. He goes forward into the bold future and knows it will be better than the past. Those rocky waters are behind him. And the challenge with those who live in the past, they live in the time of the devil. They are chained by old beliefs that don't serve them, and yet they still cling to these old ideas. A new contract is upon the earth, one which has to do more with a little bit more self-love, a little bit more looking in the mirror. What did you do today to take proper care of yourself, to do what you need to do to be a contributing member of society? We have this new contract coming in with the Three of Pentacles crossing. And we do have an encouragement here to be frugal for those of you who are not frugal at this time. Do watch your coin. Be careful about luxury investments at this time. There is a frugality coming over the land. I see a new wave of economists and a new wave of intellectuals coming in that could right a lot of the errors. I also think that we will begin investing in our local politics more, and I see people returning back to community involvement, getting involved in your communities, the greening of your communities, the planting of trees in your community, the cleaning up of graffiti, the handing out of food for the needy, finding out everybody's name in your community, relying on yourselves. The good news is that energetically we have returned back to the local, what is in front of us, what is available for us right here and now, and less on international trade, things that are 2, 3, 4 times as much. We might as well begin buying local. And what that does is it begins over time to prop up local goods and services which had been suppressed in the past because of cheap foreign goods. And so the benefit, which was something that nobody had even considered, was that local trade has increased, one-on-one relationships at a local level, getting to know your customer, getting back to that one-on-one relationship, which has been taken over by large companies and artificial intelligence and bots. Don't waste a lot of time trying to hold on to things that need to be let go. So this could also be what we're seeing just globally, that people are, that we could be seeing the end of relationships that are no longer profitable. You know, we have this Five of Pentacles moving in. Past placement is the courts as well, and the world. I feel like everything is going to be a lot freer in Europe. I feel that we are moving towards armistice. I feel that Russia will lose the war, and I do feel that there is an isolating of Putin that is coming. We have to be patient, and we've learned patience for those things that are good, and we have to understand that either the West controls the trade routes or the East will control the trade routes. If we believe in going forward and not going into the past, if we believe in democracy and promoting this idea of we the people, moving away from religious extremism towards education and personal power, personal empowerment and accountability, if those things are attractive to us, then we would be more likely to side with the West, rather than giving up power to, these, religious extremist groups. There is a growing feeling that people don't know, they're getting mixed messages from the United States, and they don't know what to believe in. They don't know that the current administration has left them back and forth. They don't know what to believe in, what the Americans stand for. And I think that I see Pete Buttigieg coming back in a really big way. And I see Pete Buttigieg debating heavily Trump's policies. And I would not be surprised if Pete Buttigieg got nominated for the primary for presidency, because this is Pete Buttigieg's card, and it's over Trump's card going forward in the future. And if he does not become voted, he should also think about things like the Senate. But I see really strong leadership over Pete Buttigieg in the future. That's really interesting. Yeah, so I'm going to go ahead and predict that Putin loses the war, that he becomes isolated, that he'll either face the Hague, or he will face house arrest by his own people. I'm really feeling like for Iran as well, there's really no going back. There really is no deal with Iran. As long as Iran is the state sponsor of terror, there really is no other solution but to take down Iranian leadership. There is a real confusion also amongst Iranian leadership, in the sense that despite everything that happened, they were really taken off guard. They really couldn't believe that it had gotten this point. I'm seeing a great celebration, like the women of Iran rising up and getting their power back. I'm seeing confusion in the leadership of Iran. They don't know how this happened, how this female leaders are rising up and removing their hijabs, and it's just complete confusion by Iranian. They have no idea how this happened, and trying to get the people back. The other thing I feel is that Iranian leadership, the mullahs, are trying to get you're with us, you like us, right? And they don't know how they could have become so disconnected from the will of the people, because when they thought they had total control, they never thought about whether or not the customer was happy. They didn't think about customer service. They didn't think about making sure that they were producing the best cheeseburger, right? Because they had total control and no competition. So they never thought about it as having to worry about the needs of the people. But now they're constantly worrying about if the people are happy, are going to defend them. And I see more war. The Knight of Wands over Iran, which would indicate more war is coming for Iran. Activists in Iran, stay safe, be careful, because there are secret police everywhere. There's a warning coming out about keep your meetings as secretive as possible. There are spies everywhere. The next couple of months we could see a strong push from the west to the east. Three of Wands is my west to east movement, the taking of weapons of war away, and new leadership, the Shah son likely taking position in, I think the next 2 to 3 months will be telling, and I don't see Iranian mullahs surviving. I think they will collapse. I think the West has no choice but to push forward, particularly if they would like to see an end of state-sponsored terrorism. I think this will bode very well for Qatar. I think that Qatar will very likely start to become increasingly isolated. This will have a negative impact on their economy, which is a good thing. They either play nice with the rest of the Middle East, or they will economically collapse over time. All right. That is what I see. Thank you, everybody, for joining me. If you're trying to get in for a reading, please check out all of that information below. And if you'd like to buy me a coffee, check out my PayPal. Much appreciated. Be kind to all, so that all will be kind to you too. God bless. Peace out. We'll see you next time, everyone. Bye.